Hi, welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith, and in this video, we're going to learn the two-player game Guild Ball, designed by Richard Loxam and Matt Hart and published by Steam-Forged Games. Guild Ball is a rough-and-tumble sports miniatures game where each player will choose from one of several different factions and then custom build their own team, which they'll use to rush, pass, and bash their way to goals and domination. Now, there are several different ways that you can get into this game. You can start by going to the official website and downloading everything that you need to play for free, which includes the rules, templates, unit cards, and even custom paper cutouts of the players themselves. Or you can dive right in and buy starter teams and individual figures like the ones that I have here. Many of these will require some assembly, and you can also paint the figures if you want to explore that aspect of the hobby, as I've done. But I should mention, at the time of this recording, Steam-Forged Games has announced that more and more of the models that they release in the future will come in the form of pre-assembled plastic models, which will mean getting your figures to the table will become that much easier. You can also get into the game by picking up this, the Guild Ball Kickoff Starter Set, which comes with everything necessary for two players to fully learn and play the complete game of Guild Ball. And the miniatures in this set are pre-assembled and pre-colored. Unless otherwise stated, all of the components that you see in this series of videos will come from this Kickoff Starter Set. And I do plan to shoot this over a series of videos, each one focusing on some core elements of the gameplay. In this first video, we're going to talk about the theme, building a team, and how you set up to play your first game. Guild Ball, which was something like North American soccer, although with much more brutal tactics, was, in the history of this game's setting, played between neighboring towns on feast days. The popularity of these events led to national-level games between powerful guilds that ultimately used their popularity in the games to negotiate several background deals, increasing their influence over the populace. In this way, the game represents not only what's happening on the field, but also what's happening behind the scenes, especially in the larger narrative of the game's story. The individual guilds present a variety of playstyles with several model options to allow you to customize your own unique teams within your chosen faction. We're going to start by using the two teams that are included in the kickoff box, the Brewers in yellow and the Masons Guild in blue. Again, not only do these models come pre-assembled and pre-colored right out of the box, they're also perfectly legal to play in any game of Guild Ball. This means that you and a friend can play from this one set, or if you already have a friend who's playing, you could use either of these teams against them. But let's take a moment here and talk about how a standard team of Guild Ball is constructed. First, each model in the game has its own double-sided character card that defines its many unique qualities. We'll learn about these in detail later, but for now, let's flip this one over. On the bottom here are keywords that define the character, including their playing position and sometimes their team position. A team must have a single model with the captain keyword. In this case, the Masons Guild will be led by Honor. You then need a single mascot which can play for the same guild as the captain. For the Masons Guild in this set, that will be Marbles. Now you fill out the rest of the team with 4 more players that can play for the same guild as the captain. For the Masons, we'll have Brick, Flint, Harmony, and Mallet. This is the Captains Handbook, which is included in this starter set and not only provides a background story to explain how the Brewers and Masons ended up in this latest matchup, but also provides strategy advice for using both of these teams with tips for each individual player. You'll also find information on the other models that you can pick up separately for both of these guilds to help you make decisions about how you might expand and customize these teams in the future. There's also a summary of the play styles of all the other guilds currently available at the time of this recording. I say that because more are on the way. But one guild of particular interest is the Unions. You can make a team up from only Union players, just like you would normally do with any other faction. But other guilds can also have some Union players play on their teams. This starter set comes with cards that list the current Union players that can be added to each of these teams' lineups, making for even more possible customization. On the backs of these, you'll also find further background stories related to the factions included in this set. With that said, custom team building is not something that you need to worry about right now because you can start playing with the tournament-ready teams already provided in this box. So now let's move on and learn about how we get things set up to play. In a typical game of Guild Ball, you'll play on a 3-foot by 3-foot playing area known as the pitch. The starter set comes with a double-sided board in 2 pieces which you slide together to form the play area. And this is not a paper mat, this is actually a board. And although this side is more decorative, for teaching purposes, the more straightforward layout on this side will suit us better. You can also play with 3D terrain pieces to act as obstacles on the field, or use the included terrain tokens in this set. But for your first games, you should probably just keep the field clear. Guild plots can be played with, although these are not included with the starter set, and you don't need them for your first games. Normally, each player would be dealt 5, and then privately they would choose 3 to keep, discarding the rest unseen. These will provide players with special effects they can resolve during a match. You might also notice this term here, Season 1. The kickoff set actually takes place in Season 3. Each new season doesn't just introduce new guild plots, but sometimes even brand new guilds to play with, or new figures for older ones. This also gives Steam-forged games an opportunity to update the unit cards, like you see on screen here. On the left is honors from a previous season, and on the right is her Season 3 unit card. These will often come with adjustments to balance the gameplay or clarify the wording of effects. But this doesn't mean you have to buy new models. Instead, you can obtain the upgraded unit card packs, or simply print them out for free yourself from the official website. These are all of the dice included in the starter set. Have each player roll one of them, and re-roll any tied results until they're broken. The higher rolling player now chooses which of them will be the kicker, meaning the other player becomes the receiver. And just so it's clear, the side of the die showing the Guild Ball logo represents a value of 6. The kicker now chooses one of these ends to be theirs and places their guild's goalpost token into the space for it here, which, if you're curious, is centered, and then the top edge of it is 6 inches from this edge. Next, the kicker deploys their entire team anywhere within 10 inches of their chosen edge, which is also shown on the board by this marked line, so any of your figures can start the game all the way up to here. The set comes with 2 balls, but you'll only need 1 for a game, so the other you can return to the box. Then give the game ball to one of the kicking player's models by placing it so that it's touching their base. When a figure has possession of the ball, where it's placed around them doesn't matter, just so long as it's touching their base. The receiving player now puts their goalpost on the opposite side of the field, deploying their figures within 10 inches of their edge. You can now lay out the profile cards for each of your figures, and none of this information is private. Both players can examine them at any time. You'll also notice on the bottom of each there are circles representing that player's health points. To track damage during the game, you can put the card inside of a plastic sleeve and check off the damage with a dry erase marker. Or instead, use the included health point dials, setting the initial value to the highest number that you find at the end of the health point track. The game comes with 2 sets of these measuring tools, and each player should collect their own, along with the tokens and scoreboard in their faction's color. There's also one of these longer measuring tools, as well as some general tokens that you should keep nearby as well. But for the purposes of this video, all of the tokens I've shown you I'm going to keep off screen, and I'll just bring them out as necessary. Okay, let's get back into the action by returning to the pitch. The team that has possession of the ball must now kick it towards the other team. This is known as a kickoff, and it's made up of 2 steps. First, the player in possession of the ball may choose to perform a jog action, and whether they do or don't, they then must perform a pass action. We'll cover movement in more detail in a later episode, but a jog action allows you to move a model up to a number of inches equal to the first value shown on its profile card under the movement stat. So Friday, who currently has the ball, as part of her kickoff, could first move up to 6 inches. A model can move in any direction, it doesn't matter which way it appears to be facing. And you measure movement from the front edge of the model's base to the distance that you want to travel. This is a 6-inch measurement, so we can go here. You are allowed to change direction while moving, but that's something we'll learn about in the details of a future video. If the moving figure had possession of the ball, then just bring it back into contact with that figure's base. Whether you chose to move or not, you now perform a pass by kicking the ball. A player's kick stats are shown here, and the second number shows how far the model can kick. So in this case, up to 8 inches. This measuring template is the full 8 inches that Friday could kick, but she doesn't want the ball to go that close to the other team, so she'll choose this spot only 4 inches away from herself. Do note, when kicking, you must pick a path that goes in a straight line from your figure. And we'll learn about kicking in more detail later, but for now, it's enough to know that a kick requires a target number test. We'll now roll a number of dice equal to Friday's base kick value, which is the number highlighted here. So in this case, 3 dice. The target number for kicking is 4 or higher. So if at least one of the dice we rolled shows a 4 or more, the kick is successful. And hey, in this case, we succeeded. So now we'll move the ball to be centered on the target spot that we wanted to kick towards. Because there's nothing here, the ball will now bounce and scatter. To resolve this, place the kick scatter template around the ball with this center arrow pointing in the direction that the ball was originally traveling in. Now roll a die and find that value on this template. That indicates the direction the ball will now scatter in. Then roll a second die to determine the distance the ball will travel. Now because our kick was successful, we have a little more control over this scatter. We can actually choose to re-roll the entire scatter result if we want to, but then we must accept the second result. If your initial kick failed when you rolled, in other words, if Friday had not rolled 4 or higher when she first attempted to kick, the ball will still travel to this location and scatter, but you are not given the option to re-roll your initial results. Either way, once you have the final point where the ball scatters to, place it so it's centered on that point. Now you might be wondering, why kick the ball towards the opponent in the first place? Why not just kick it towards one of your own players? That's a great question. Well, after the kickoff, if the ball is no longer on the pitch, that is to say if it's left the board, or if it has not crossed into the opponent's half of the field, then the receiver gets to pick up the ball and give it to any one of their players, which gives them a lot of control at the beginning of the game, so you probably don't want that to happen. Either way, after the kickoff, the receiver is now said to have initiative for that turn, and now the game can really begin. The objective of Guild Ball is to be the first team to score 12 victory points. Each goal that you score by kicking the ball into the other player's goalpost gains you 4 victory points. But you also gain 2 victory points anytime you cause an opponent's player to suffer the taken out condition. This happens when you reduce their health points to 0, forcing them to be dragged off the field to recover. The opponent's mascot can be taken out as well, but you only gain 1 victory point for that. A typical match is estimated to last between 90 and 120 minutes. But if you want to play a shorter game, you can choose to play to only 8 victory points, or play the introductory game on a 2-foot by 2-foot area, which you'll find conveniently outlined on this side of the pitch. In the introductory game, you'll only play to 6 points, and teams will consist of 1 captain and 2 players each. I should mention the starter set also comes with this complete full rulebook for the game, as well as an introductory booklet that walks you through your first game if you want to learn that way. And you also have this video series which will teach you exactly how to play the standard game. In the next video, we'll go over the starting phases of a turn, as well as cover some more general concepts. But if you have any questions about anything that you saw here, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below, and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. But until the next episode, thanks for watching.